Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today I thought I would do a cheeky little Game Week 39 video all about some strategies that you guys can implement in order to, just get the best finish you could possibly want, just to end the season in the perfect way that is just for you. Now, I do think you can impose these strategies kind of on a longer term basis as well, but if you're going to use these strategies in just one game week only, Game Week 38 is just perfect for it. So I think this is really going to help you out, not just for this game week, but going forward as well, and when you think about your moves a little bit. So if you do enjoy this, please do leave a like, please do subscribe, but without further ado, let's just start. Let's start. Okay, so the first thing you need to do before you start and decide your strategy, you need to decide what team you are on. Are you team protecting or are you team chasing? And now I think you can mix them up a little bit and do a little bit from one, a little from column A, a little from column B if you like. But I do think you generally need to kind of decide, are you happy with your rank? Are you not happy with your rank? And that's kind of the basic premise of it all. Team protecting, obviously you will be trying to protect the rank you have, and team chasing is the team that you will join if you want to chase and improve your rank kind of at any cost. So we're going to go through each kind of line of thinking. We'll be doing the team protecting first, and then we'll talk about team chasing as well after that, and you can kind of decide what one you think is going to work for you best based on your situation personally. So first of all, team protecting. Now this is the team you want to join, and I know they're not real teams, by the way, guys. I just thought I'd make it a little bit more interesting. But if you want to protect your rank, this is the team you want to join if you are happy with your rank right now. So for example, if you are just inside the top 100k or something like that, that was your big goal for the season, to finish in the top 100,000 players in FPL, you want to join team protecting if you're already in there. So if you kind of actually want to go up a little bit more, team protecting is probably not the team for you, to be honest. You kind of want to maybe go for a team chasing, but if you are satisfied with where you are, if you're winning your mini leagues, or you're in a good position in your mini league, a position where you're perhaps on for a prize in your mini league or something like that, you're on for the title, then this is where you want to be right now, guys. And I know a lot of you guys, you've told me that you are winning your mini leagues, you're smashing it in the FPL ranks. I'm so proud of you guys. You're hitting all your targets, and that's what it's all about, and this is exactly what you want to be doing. So if you want to be for example, if you feel like you have something to lose, you don't want to be chasing, you want to be protecting. And if you just want that peaceful, stress-free end to the season where you're not really going to be able to drop rank very much, you want to minimize how much you can drop rank rather than maximize how much you can gain rank, then this is probably where you want to be, trying to get into that situation where you can't go up very much, but you also can't go down very much either, and you protect your rank. And it's actually something that you can do with a little bit of strategy. So here are the kind of things that you could do if you are on team protecting. You could pick a template captain, and these template captains, pretty much there's only two template captains for this game week in Game Week 38. It's pretty much Son or Kane. Now Kane is about as differential as you want to go if you want to protect your rank. Son really is the sensible Game Week 38 captain. He is going to be captained by probably around 60%, maybe even 70% of active players. We'll probably see Kane around, I don't know, 10%, something like that, maybe 20%, and then the rest of them will be kind of split up with some differentials. But if you are protecting your rank, just pick a sensible captain. I would really advise you just go for Son, but you could also maybe think about going for Kane only if you're not completely happy with your rank. If you are 100% happy with your rank, go for Son. If you are kind of you have that faith in Kane, or you just kind of feel like you want to move up a little bit, but you don't want to make too much of a risk, then maybe Kane is the play instead. You also want to be picking the most popular players. So if there's any holes in your team where you feel like you don't have a certain player that is owned by a lot of people, a kind of player that can hurt you, then you want to make sure you transfer in that player this game week, and I'll go through that in a second, what kind of players those players might be. And then finally, moving on to the mini league tips. You kind of want to pick the players that are the same as your rivals. So, for example, if you're in first place in your mini league, have a look at second place's team. You can go and do that on the FPL website, or using a FPL tool, from externally. But you can go and have a look at the people who are close to you in the table of your mini league, and kind of if there is a player in that team that you don't have, that you're quite worried about, maybe just pick up that player for this game. We transfer in a player that you know they don't have and they won't get, and transfer in a player who they already have that you are scared of, because that's going to kind of protect you from the damage that player can do to you in your mini league. And finally, as a kind of a general tip, avoid taking hits if possible. In Game Week 38, usually the hits don't pay off. They can pay off, of course, but on average, if you guys are taking hits this week, on average, it's probably not going to work out for you unless you are making a real big move, for example, removing an injured player, for example, and replacing them with a fit player. That is a completely different scenario. If we know a player is not going to play in Game Week 38 and you are able to remove them, even for a hit, that would be okay. But if you're just, mixing up your team, replacing players that you kind of like with players you like a little bit more, it's probably not worth it. Just stick with what you've got. You've probably got very good players if you are in a position to be protecting anyway. So don't go mad with the transfers. -4 is kind of the maximum I would really take. And if possible, don't take a hit at all, particularly if you're already happy with your team. You've already got a lot of players that you like in there already. So specifically in Game Week 38, I've got for you some players who have very high ownership in the top 10,000 players. And the top 10,000 players is usually a good indication of where the best player, where the top most active FPL managers, the top managers, who they are picking right now, who they've got in their squad. So it's a really good idea to have a look at this list and kind of try and figure out who is very highly owned among the top 10,000 players. And basically, guys, these are the players who, if you don't have them already, then they pose a little bit of threat to your rank. So look through this list. If there's a player on there that you don't have, then that means that player has the potential to actually do some decent damage to you, unfortunately. So you might actually want to think about picking them up. Now, I have removed Aston Villa players from this list because I think even the most active managers, they're all probably going to sell their Aston Villa players or bench their Aston Villa players. So I don't think Aston Villa players are too much of a threat. But if we go through this list, Son, Richarlison, Zaha, De Bruyne, Cancelo, Trent, Kane, Saka, Schmeichel, Maddison, Nketiah, Robertson, James, Alonso and Mount. If you are missing any of those players, and you are going to be missing at least a couple of those players, just know that those are the players that can damage you. So if there's any players, for example, maybe you don't have Cancelo in your team, you absolutely must go and buy Cancelo in order to protect your rank. If you don't have Son, that's a really dangerous one because, like I say, a lot of people are going to be captaining him as well. If you don't have Son in your team and you want to protect your rank, you have to buy Son this game week. That's pretty much exactly how you got to kind of work it out for yourself this week. And I've got some other potential highly owned players as well that I think will be highly owned in 38 based on the current transfer trends. But this is kind of opinion based, kind of just what I've seen through rumour mills and looking at transfers and stuff like that. But Tony, Sessegnon, Vardy, Luis Diaz and Kulusevski, I think, could potentially do some damage as well. So those are potential safe picks that you can pick up in your FPL team if you are happy with your rank already and you want to protect. And that's basically it, guys, for protecting. If you want to keep the rank that you've got right now, those are the strategies you want to implement. Let's move on to the slightly more exciting team chasing. All right, team chasing. If you're a chaser, you want to chase, this is the team for you. If you are unhappy with your rank, if you are losing your mini league, if you feel you have nothing to lose right now and you just want that chaotic end to the season and just hope that it falls in your favor, basically, this is the team for you, team chasing. So, for example, guys, I can use myself as an example. I'm currently sitting outside the top 100. This is based before the Thursday fixtures. I'm recording this before the Thursday fixtures, so that might change, but I'm currently sat outside the top 100 and I kind of feel like if I finish 110th or if I finish 250th, that doesn't really matter to me. I want a top 100 finish, therefore I have to go take an all or nothing risk and kind of see what happens. The worst case scenario for me, if I take a big risk, maybe I'll drop to 250, 300th, 350th or something like that, but if it goes well, the upside is I get into the top 100, and that top 100 place is more valuable to me than the dropping down to 400th. That doesn't bother me that much if that happens. That would still be a phenomenal season for me, so I'd be really happy with that. But if I want to take it to the next level, I've got to take a bit of a risk, and that's just the situation I'm in. Now, similar situation, guys, if you are outside the top 100,000 players and you want to get in the top 100,000, if you are 25k off, you're 30k off, you've got to take a big risk. You've got to go for it. If you are aiming to get into the top 10k and you're kind of sat at 15k, 20k, you can still do it. It's still possible for you, but you do have to take that big risk. In most situations, guys, if you're taking a risk, it's not going to work out. In most scenarios, it's not going to work out. But what you're really looking for is being in it to win it, trying to get that little bit of luck and taking that 20% chance that it is going to pay off for you. So again, if you are kind of not winning your mini league, you are second in your mini league, you are 30 points behind the mini league leader, you're going to have to do something very, very special in order to close that gap. And that's what team chasing is all about. So the tips for chasing are pretty much the opposite. So we want to pick a differential captain. So you might not want to go for Son or Kane. I mean, maybe Kane is a good differential captain in a way because he's not so differential that he can completely destroy your rank. Kane is probably a good middle ground between chasing and protecting. So maybe you could go for that. But at the same time, you know, for example, last season, the winner of FPL won FPL because he captained Mane when everyone else was captaining Salah. And because Mane outscored Salah, he had a massive rank jump at the last day of the season and ended up winning FPL because he went for that differential captain. So it really can work out. Go for another player you have a little bit of faith in. You know, maybe a De Bruyne. He's always a good captain option, and you never know, he could go big. You know, maybe a Chelsea player against Watford. We go for Mason Mount, Alonso, Reece James. If they explode and, you know, Kane and Son don't, that is just going to rocket you up the rank. Now, in all likeliness, Kane and Son are probably going to outscore some of those other players mentioned. But if they don't, and it is always possible, anything can happen in football, you've put yourself in a position where you've taken a risk and it could pay off. And if it does, you're absolutely laughing. Also, transferring in differential players. I speak about transferring in differential players enough, so we don't want to go into that too much right now, but I am going to tell you about some explosive players in just a minute. In terms of your mini league, you want to pick different players to your rivals, so I guess it's the same thing. Pick differentials, but just pick players that you don't think your mini league rivals are going to be thinking about. Look at the first place team. Who have they got in their team right now? Who can you pick that is different from the players that they've got that maybe they're not thinking of? Can you get one step ahead of them? Can you outsmart them? That's what you kind of want to do. And in general, what we're doing is we're transferring in high risk, high reward players. You know, those all or nothing players, those ball to the wall players. Take a player who is just has that potential to explode and score big, and maybe even captain them as well. And I'm going to tell you a few of those players in just one moment. But also, finally, take a hit. Take a hit, take two if you need to. You know, with, like I say, taking hits, it's probably not going to pay off if you already have a team that's pretty good. But again, if you want to take a risk, you're going to have to do something. But yeah, just be aware that it's probably not going to pay off. In all likeliness, there's more of a chance of it going badly than going well. But at least there's a chance of it going well. And if it does go well, it's going to make a serious improvement to your rank. So only kind of join team chasing. Only chase if you kind of feel like you have nothing to lose and you don't really mind if you drop down a rank a little bit, as long as you want that potential to go up. That's kind of what I say there. So yeah, like I say, let's have a look at some explosive players, and this list is pretty good. So I've been working on this today. I think it's pretty nice. And basically, I've made a list here of players who frequently have scored over 10 points during the 2021-22 season. So I've done it as a percentage per appearance. So, you know, how many, you know, for example, if a player has played 10 games this season and has scored 10 points or more on 2 occasions, that would give them a score of 20%. But obviously, you know, percentages are usually much more complicated than that, and they were when I was working all of this out. But yeah, here's the list. So we've got Salah at 29%. So 29% of the games he has played this season, he has scored 10 points or more. Him joint with Son on 29%. These are the two big haulers, the players who haul the most frequently. Now Salah is kind of looking touch and go. I don't know if he's even going to play in Gameweek 38, to be honest, so we probably want to discount him. But Son, on the other hand, he's very template. He is a player who everyone is going to go for, so that's not really too helpful for us either. Same with kind of Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. Very, very template as a player. After that, though, is where we get some interesting players. Bowen, Vardy, Bowen, and James. All three of those players haul in 26% of their games. So basically, they've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting a very nice FPL score in this Gameweek 38. And that's kind of elevated even more when you consider that Vardy is playing against Southampton, Reece James is playing against Watford, and Bowen is playing against Brighton, which is kind of in the middle. I would say that Bowen is still probably going to be about 26% chance of scoring a big haul. But certainly Vardy and Reece James, if they play, they can go very, very big, very easily in Gameweek 38. And those are the kind of players you might want to take a risk on, like genuinely. The problem is with Vardy and James is that there is a little bit of concern Are they going to play? Are they going to start? These are going to be two teams with nothing to play for in the final game. Maybe there's going to be a bit of rotation, a bit of resting. I don't know if they'll want to play James unless absolutely necessary. James kind of still needs that summer to fully recover from his ongoing long-term injuries. Vardy, on the other hand, I think he probably will play in that final game week, to be honest. But there's some other players in there. De Bruyne, he's always a safe pick for a haul. Mahrez is an interesting one. Again, when he plays, he does very well. It's just about identifying when he's going to play. Same with Sterling down there at 21%. And then you've got players like Mason Mount, Ronaldo, Kulusevski, Maddison. All could be interesting players to go for. Not super differential, but differential enough whereby if you go for them and it goes well for you, you are going to be absolutely laughing. But certainly, I'd be looking in the region of Vardy, Bowen and James. Certainly have a look at those players. See if you can get those players into your team, because if they go big, they can go very big. And if you captain them as well and they outscore the likes of Son and Kane, you're just going to be in such a good position. I'm not saying it's likely that that's going to happen, but if it does, and it is well within the realms of possibility, then it's all good in the hood, right, guys? Just a couple of other notes of players that I think could be pretty explosive in Game Week 38. Luis Diaz looks pretty good. You know, when he starts, he seems to be pretty explosive. You know, he's got a couple of hauls so far this season, but he's just had a lot of sub appearances as well, which kind of made his kind of ratio percentage go down a little bit, I guess. Tony looks good in this Leeds game. He has had some big scores kind of over the last couple of months, but mostly down to penalties. So if Leeds give away a bunch of penalties in Game Week 38, which I can totally see happening, then Tony could explode there. Alonso is looking like an explosive asset at the moment. He's taking a hell of a lot of shots. He is playing really, really advanced. You can see him getting a goal every single time he turns out for Chelsea. So that could be pretty good. Even though he doesn't make the top percentages, it looks like he could be, explosive as well. Mane, potentially, if Salah doesn't play, he's in the new striker position. And Sessegnon and Emerson, the either side of that Spurs defence. Typically, when players play against Norwich, they do get clean sheets. That is the team you want to target really for clean sheets. And both of those players have a little bit of attacking threat as well. Certainly, the Conte system favours the fullback. So there we go, guys. That's basically a list of players that I think could be really good for, explosivity. Not all of these players are not necessarily differential, but they're explosive, and maybe you can kind of cross-reference the explosivity with the differentialness of the player. I guess kind of just use this data that I've kind of got for you. Just use it the way you want to use it, but hopefully it can be pretty helpful for you. Alright guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. We are getting very close to the Game Week 38 deadline, the season ending, and it's very exciting stuff. Guys, if you enjoyed this one and if you're hyped for the end of the season or you just need a break, please do leave a like, massively appreciated. Subscribe, of course, if you are new around here, but that's pretty much it from me. Team selection video tomorrow, the final team selection video of the season. Very exciting stuff, but that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, once again, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.